My name is Nova Blackwell. I'm 21. Last Tuesday at 6:47 a.m., I watched my father rip my Penn State acceptance letter into 14 pieces over scrambled eggs, while my stepmother Sharon sipped coffee and smiled. The envelope had arrived 3 days late because he'd been intercepting my mail for 8 months. I know it was 8 months because I'd applied in September, and it was now May 3rd, and the scholarship deadline was May 5th at 5 p.m., 48 hours. That's all I had left. "You're not going." Gerald Blackwell didn't even look at me when he said it. He dropped the pieces into his coffee mug. The ink bled into the brown liquid. "We've discussed this, Nova. You have responsibilities here." "That's my future you just destroyed." My voice came out steady, even though my hands were shaking so hard I had to grip the edge of the table. "That scholarship was full tuition, room and board, everything." Sharon set down her mug with a soft click. "Your father said no, dear. Maybe if you'd been more respectful, more helpful around the house, he'd reconsider. But you've always been so stubborn." "I work 60 hours a week at the hospital. I pay rent here. I buy my own food. What else do you want?" "Don't raise your voice to Sharon." Gerald's fork scraped against his plate. "You live under my roof. You follow my rules. No daughter of mine is running off to some party school to waste 4 years. Penn State has one of the best nursing programs in the country. Mom wanted me to be a nurse, you know that." The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Gerald's jaw tightened. "Your mother is dead, Nova. She's been dead for 6 years. Maybe it's time you accepted that and stopped using her as an excuse for your selfishness." I felt my face burn so hot I could feel my pulse in my teeth. "I'm not being selfish. I'm trying to have a life." "You have a life. Here. With family." Sharon reached across the table like she was going to touch my hand. I pulled back. Her smile never wavered. "We need you, Nova. Your father's blood pressure has been terrible. And I'm not getting any younger. Who's going to take care of us?" "Hire a nurse." "We have a nurse," Gerald said. "You." That's when I understood. This wasn't about college. This wasn't about money. This was about control. As long as I stayed in this house, working myself to exhaustion, paying rent to live in a home that I'd grown up in, I was useful, controllable, trapped. Before I go on, if stories about standing up for yourself mean something to you, please hit like and subscribe and tell me in the comments where you're watching from right now and what time is it there. Let me take you back 13 years to when I was 8 years old and my grandmother Elizabeth was still alive. We'd sit together in her garden every Sunday after church. She grew jasmine, and the smell would cling to my clothes for hours afterward. I remember one specific Sunday in June when she was teaching me how to deadhead the roses. Her hands were spotted with age, but they moved with such confidence through the thorns. "Your mom is going to be a wonderful nurse someday," she told me, pruning a yellow bloom, "just like she always wanted. Mama says nursing school is hard. Hard things are worth doing, mi estrella." My little star. That's what she always called me. You remember that? When things get difficult, when people tell you no, you find another way. You hear me? "Yes, Grandma." She stopped working and looked at me directly. Her eyes were dark brown, almost black, and they could see right through you. "Nova, I need you to promise me something." "What?" "Promise me you'll become a nurse, like your mama wants, like you want. Don't let anyone steal that dream from you, not anyone." I promised. I was 8. I didn't understand why she made it sound so urgent, so important. 3 years later, my mother died from complications during what should have been a routine surgery. 2 years after that, my grandmother followed her. And 1 year after that, Gerald married Sharon Miller Foster at the courthouse on a Thursday afternoon. He didn't tell me until I came home from school and found her moving boxes into my mother's old bedroom. The first real betrayal happened 6 months after that wedding. I was 15, halfway through my freshman year of high school. I'd been accepted into a special pre-nursing program that would let me start taking college-level classes junior year. The letter came on a Saturday. I was so excited I ran into the living room waving it. Gerald was on the couch watching football. Sharon was doing a crossword puzzle in the armchair. Dad, look, I got into the nursing program at the high school. He didn't even glance at the paper. You're not doing that. What? Why not? Because I said so. You're 15. You need to focus on being a normal teenager, not burying yourself in books about blood and guts. But Mom wanted, your mother's dead, Nova. He said it so casually, the same way someone might comment on the weather. What she wanted doesn't matter anymore. What I want matters, and I want you to have a normal childhood. Sharon looked up from her puzzle. Your father's right, sweetheart. You're too young to be thinking about careers. You should be thinking about boys, about prom, about having fun. I don't want to think about prom. I want to be a nurse. Gerald stood up. He was 6'2", and when he wanted to, he could fill a room with his presence. This conversation is over. You're not joining that program. End of discussion. I tried to argue. I showed him the statistics about early admission to nursing schools. I showed him the scholarship opportunities. I even showed him the letter my mother had written when I was 6, before she got sick, talking about how proud she'd be when I followed in her footsteps. He took that letter, folded it neatly, and put it in his pocket. I'll keep this safe, he said, so you don't lose it. I never saw it again. By the time I was 17, I'd learned to hide things. I applied to colleges in secret, using my friend Emma's address for the mail. I worked at Riverside General Hospital as a CNA, certified nursing assistant, saving every dollar I could. I kept my acceptance letters in a locked box under Emma's bed. Gerald thought I was working retail. Sharon thought I was finally acting like a proper daughter, coming home tired and quiet. The lie worked until March of my senior year. Emma's mother found my box while cleaning and, thinking she was being helpful, dropped it off at my house while I was at work. When I came home at 11:30 p.m., after a double shift, the box was sitting in the middle of the dining room table. Open. Empty. Letters scattered everywhere. Gerald and Sharon were waiting for me. Sit down. Gerald's voice was cold, controlled, dangerous. I sat. My scrub still smelled like antiseptic and bleach. My feet were throbbing. I'd been on them for 16 hours straight. Sharon picked up one of the letters. Penn State, University of Pittsburgh, Temple, Drexel. She said each name like it was a curse word. You've been lying to us for months. I've been applying to college. That's not lying. That's planning for my future. Under my roof with my resources, using my address, Emma's address, to hide it from me. Gerald stood up and started pacing. This was his technique: move around. Make the other person feel small and stationary while you controlled the space. Do you have any idea how humiliating this is? Finding out my own daughter has been sneaking around behind my back? You wouldn't let me apply normally. Because you're not going. His voice cracked like a whip. The neighbors definitely heard that. How many times do I have to say it, Nova? You're not leaving this house to waste money on some degree you'll never use. I'll use it. Nursing is what I want. What you want is irrelevant. You're 18 years old. You don't know what you want. You think you do, but you don't. I'm your father. I know better. Sharon nodded along like a dashboard bobblehead. Your father's just trying to protect you, Nova. College is full of drugs and drinking and boys who'll take advantage of you. You're safer here, with us, where we can guide you. I don't need guiding. I need to live my own life. Gerald stopped pacing. He looked at me with something close to pity. You really don't get it, do you? This house? The one you're sitting in right now? I own it. The car you drive to work? I own it. The phone in your pocket? I pay for it. Everything you have, I gave you, and I can take it all away. My stomach dropped. You wouldn't. Try me. Go ahead. Accept one of these scholarships. Pack your bags, walk out that door. See how far you get with no car, no phone, no references for jobs. Because I'll make sure every hospital in this city knows you're an ungrateful liar who abandoned her family." He wasn't bluffing. I could see it in his eyes. Gerald Blackwell didn't make empty threats. I felt tears building, but refused to let them fall. "What do you want from me?" "I want you to stay here. Get a local job. Help take care of this house, your stepmother and me. Be a daughter instead of a selfish stranger." He gathered up all the acceptance letters, walked to the fireplace, and threw them in. We didn't have a fire going. It was March. But he threw them in anyway, like he was making a point. "Those dreams? They're over. The sooner you accept that, the happier you'll be." Sharon reached over and patted my hand. "We're doing this because we love you." I pulled my hand away and went to my room. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I sat on my bed in the dark and tried to figure out how my life had become a cage. The next 3 years were a blur of work and silence. I picked up more shifts at Riverside General. 60 hours a week became 70. I stopped talking about college. I stopped talking about nursing school. I barely talked at all. Gerald seemed pleased with this development. Sharon told her friends I'd finally matured, but I was saving money. Every single paycheck, I deposited the maximum amount Gerald wouldn't notice into a secret account I'd opened with Emma's help. I kept the card hidden in the lining of my winter coat. By the time I turned 21, I had $13,847 saved, enough for first month's rent and deposit on an apartment, enough to start over. I planned to leave in June. I had it all mapped out. Give 2 weeks' notice at the house, transfer to a different hospital across town, move into a studio apartment near the university, reapply to nursing school, start classes in January. But Gerald found the bank statements in April. I still don't know how. Maybe he went through my coat. Maybe the bank sent something to the house. Either way, I came home from a night shift on April 19th at 7:22 a.m. to find him sitting at the kitchen table with my statements spread out in front of him. $13,847. He said each word carefully, like he was savoring them. "That's a lot of money, Nova. Money you earned while living under my roof, while eating my food, while using my electricity and water." I was too tired to be afraid. "That's my money. I earned it. You earned it while I provided for you. That makes it household money. Our money." He tapped the papers. "I think you owe me rent, back rent, for the last 3 years. Shall we call it, say, $500 a month? That's $18,000. You're in debt to me, Nova." "That's insane. You can't just decide." "I can do whatever I want. This is my house. You live here because I allow it. And now I'm telling you, you owe me money. Either pay up or get out." Sharon appeared in the doorway wearing her bathrobe, right on cue. "Gerald, don't be harsh. Nova's just confused. She doesn't understand how families work, how we all contribute." "I contribute more than both of you combined," I said quietly. "I work 70 hours a week. You work part-time at a gift shop. He's been retired for 2 years. Gerald's face went red. "Don't you dare speak to your stepmother that way. Apologize. Now." "No." He stood up so fast his chair fell backward. "What did you say?" I said no. I'm not apologizing for telling the truth. I'm done apologizing. That's when Sharon started crying. Actual tears rolling down her face, one hand pressed to her chest like she was having a heart attack. "I try so hard, Gerald. I try to be a good mother to her, and she throws it in my face every single day. I can't do this anymore. I just can't." Gerald walked around the table toward me. His voice dropped to barely above a whisper. "You've crossed a line, Nova. You need to apologize to Sharon right now, or there will be consequences." "What consequences? You going to kick me out? Go ahead. I've got first and last month's rent saved." "Actually," he smiled, "you don't. Because that account is going to be frozen pending an investigation into whether you committed financial fraud." "What fraud? That's my money." "Is it?" "Because I'm going to report to the bank that you've been stealing from our household accounts, taking money that was meant for family expenses. They'll freeze your account while they investigate. That'll take, 6 to 8 weeks minimum, maybe longer. And in the meantime, you'll have nowhere to go and no access to funds. He was bluffing. He had to be. You can't do that. Banks don't work that way. Try me. He pulled out his phone. One call, Nova. One call and your little escape plan evaporates. I stood there in my wrinkled scrubs, my hair still in a messy bun, my shoes squeaking slightly on the linoleum floor, and I realized he would do it. Gerald Blackwell would burn my entire life down just to keep me under his control. So I apologized. I looked Sharon in the eyes and said, "I'm sorry for being disrespectful." She smiled through her tears. "I forgive you, sweetheart. We all say things we don't mean when we're tired." I went to my room, took a shower, and cried for the first time in 3 years. 2 weeks later, the Penn State letter arrived, the one Gerald ripped up over breakfast. The one that gave me 48 hours to accept a full scholarship or lose it forever. I called the admissions office from work that afternoon during my break, used the hospital landline so Gerald couldn't trace it. A woman named Patricia answered on the third ring. "Penn State admissions, this is Patricia." "Hi, my name is Nova Blackwell. I received an acceptance letter for the nursing program, but there's been a complication." "What kind of complication?" I took a breath. "My father intercepted my mail. I just got the letter today. The deadline is May 5th. Is there any way to get an extension?" Silence on the other end. Then, "I'm so sorry, but our deadline is firm. We've already allocated scholarship funds. If you can't confirm by 5 p.m. on the 5th, we'll have to offer your spot to someone on the wait list." "I understand, thank you." I hung up and stared at the wall. 27 hours until the deadline. I needed my birth certificate, my social security card, my high school transcripts, and my driver's license to complete the enrollment. Gerald kept all of those documents in his safe. I didn't have the combination. That night at dinner, I tried one more time. "Dad, I need to talk to you about Penn State." He didn't look up from his pot roast. "There's nothing to talk about. The scholarship deadline is tomorrow at 5 p.m. If I miss it, I lose everything." "Then you lose everything." "Gerald," Sharon said softly, "maybe we should at least discuss." "No." He set down his fork. "Nova, you seem to think this is a negotiation. It's not. You're not going to college. You're staying here. End of story." "Why? Why do you need me here so badly?" "Because you're my daughter. Because family takes care of family. Because your grandmother would have wanted—" "Don't." My voice came out harder than I intended. "Don't you dare bring Grandma into this. She wanted me to be a nurse. She made me promise. Your grandmother was a meddling old woman who filled your head with nonsense." The room went completely silent. Even Sharon looked shocked. "Take that back," I said quietly. "No. Elizabeth Martinez spent your entire childhood trying to turn you against me, telling you stories about your mother, making promises she had no right to make. Well, she's dead now, and I'm alive, and what I say goes." I stood up from the table. "I'm leaving." "No, you're not. Watch me." I went to my room, grabbed my work bag, and walked toward the front door. Gerald beat me there. He physically stood in front of it, arms crossed. "Move," I said. "No." "Dad, I'm 21 years old. You can't keep me here. I can do whatever I want. This is my house." "Actually," a voice said from behind us, "it's not." We both turned. Sharon was standing in the hallway holding a manila envelope. Her face had gone completely pale. "What are you talking about?" Gerald asked. "This." She held up the envelope. "It came in the mail today, from a law office. I opened it by accident." She handed it to Gerald. "It's addressed to Nova." Gerald ripped it open. I watched his face as he read, watched the color drain, watched his hands start to shake. "What is it?" I asked. He didn't answer, just kept staring at the papers. I walked over and took them from his hands. The letter was from Lancaster and Associates, attorneys at law. The address was on West Market Street, Office 412. I read it 3 times before the words made sense. Dear Ms. Blackwell, I am writing to inform you that I served as legal counsel for your grandmother, Elizabeth Martinez, until her passing in 2017. Per the terms of Mrs. Martinez's will and the instructions she left with our firm, I have been monitoring your situation for the past 4 years. It has come to my attention that you are now 21 years of age and may require certain information that Mrs. Martinez wanted you to have. Please contact my office at your earliest convenience to schedule an appointment. I have documents in my possession that pertain to your future and your rightful inheritance. The matters we need to discuss are time-sensitive. Sincerely, Robert Lancaster, Esquire. I looked up at Gerald. You knew about this. I didn't know anything. You've been controlling my mail for months. How many letters from this lawyer did you intercept? His silence was the answer. Sharon backed away slowly, like she was trying to distance herself from an explosion. Gerald, what did you do? I protected my daughter from being manipulated by a dead woman's lawyer. Her lawyer has documents for me, documents about my inheritance. You had no right. I have every right. I'm your father. Everything that belonged to Elizabeth now belongs to me as next of kin. I'm her granddaughter. That makes me next of kin. Gerald's jaw worked like he was chewing rocks. You don't understand how any of this works, Nova. You're a child playing dress-up in scrubs. You think some lawyer is going to hand you a pile of money? You think your grandmother left you anything worth having? She died broke. The state took everything to pay her medical bills. Then why are you so angry? He didn't have an answer for that. I folded the letter carefully and put it in my pocket. I'm calling this lawyer tomorrow. Like hell you are. You can't stop me. I can stop paying for your phone. I can stop paying for your car insurance. I can make your life very, very difficult. You already have, I said. For 6 years you've made my life difficult. And I stayed because I thought I owed you something. Because you were my dad and I loved you. But I don't owe you my future, Gerald. I don't owe you my dreams. I don't owe you anything. I walked past him, out the front door, and kept walking until I reached Emma's house 4 blocks away. She let me sleep on her couch. I called in sick to work for the first time in 3 years, and the next morning at 9:03 a.m., I called Robert Lancaster's office. The receptionist put me through immediately. Ms. Blackwell, Robert Lancaster had a warm voice, grandfatherly. I've been waiting for your call. Your grandmother would be very pleased you reached out. What documents do you have? Several, but I'd prefer to discuss them in person. Are you available this afternoon? Say 2 p.m.? I thought about the Penn State deadline, 15 hours left. Yes. Excellent. I'll see you then. I wore my only professional outfit, a navy blue dress I'd bought for job interviews 3 years ago. Emma drove me downtown. Lancaster and Associates was on the 4th floor of an old brick building with oak paneling and leather chairs. Robert Lancaster himself was in his mid-60s, with silver hair and kind eyes that reminded me of my grandmother. He shook my hand and gestured to a chair. Thank you for coming, Nova. I know this must be confusing. Confusing is one word for it, he smiled. Your grandmother was a remarkable woman. Did you know she came to see me 8 years ago? You would have been 13. I didn't know she had a lawyer. She hired me specifically to handle her estate planning. She was very concerned about your welfare after she passed. She knew your father, shall we say, had controlling tendencies. That's a polite way to put it? Elizabeth predicted that Gerald would try to prevent you from going to college. She predicted he would intercept your mail, control your finances, and attempt to keep you dependent on him indefinitely. My throat went tight. She knew all that? She witnessed it herself during the last 2 years of her life. After your father remarried, she saw how he spoke to you, how he dismissed your dreams. It broke her heart. Robert opened a locked drawer and pulled out a large envelope. She left very specific instructions. I was to wait until you turned 21, then send that initial letter. She believed you'd need to be of legal age before you could fully use what she left you. What did she leave me? He opened the envelope and spread out 3 documents. First, this is the original deed to the house at 847 Oakmont Drive, the house where you currently live with your father. I stared at the paper. I don't understand. Your grandmother bought that house in 1987. She allowed your parents to live there rent-free when you were born. After your mother died, she continued letting your father live there, believing he would raise you properly. But she never signed the house over to him. Legally, Elizabeth Martinez owned that property until her death, and per her will, it now belongs to you. The room tilted slightly. My father doesn't own the house? No. He's been living there as your tenant, essentially, though he doesn't know it. Elizabeth wanted to wait until you were old enough to enforce the ownership yourself. But he's been collecting rent from me, $500 a month for 3 years. Robert's expression hardened. That's illegal. You can't charge someone rent for a property you don't own. You have grounds for a lawsuit if you choose to pursue it. What about his claim of adverse possession? He said he'd been living there for over 10 years, paying taxes. He hasn't paid property taxes. Your grandmother set up an automatic payment system through a trust. The taxes have been paid every year from that trust. Gerald has no claim to adverse possession because he never occupied the property under any claim of right. He knew he didn't own it. I felt like I was going to throw up. He lied. About everything. I'm afraid so. Robert pulled out the second document. This is a savings account your grandmother opened in your name when you were 6 years old. She deposited money every month for 15 years. The current balance is $127,430. I couldn't speak. And finally, he pulled out the third document. This is a portfolio of evidence your grandmother collected over the last 2 years of her life. Emails from your father discussing his plans to control your future. Text messages to Sharon about keeping you in line. Recorded conversations where he explicitly states he will never allow you to attend college. Witness statements from family members who heard him say these things. Why would she collect all this? Because she knew you'd need proof. She knew that when you finally stood up to him, he would deny everything. Call you a liar. Tell people you were ungrateful and disrespectful. She wanted you to have irrefutable evidence that you were telling the truth. I picked up the deed with shaking hands. My grandmother's signature was right there at the bottom, dated March 2016, a year before she died. There's one more thing, Robert said quietly. Your grandmother left you a letter. I was instructed to give it to you only after you'd seen the documents, so you'd understand the context. He handed me a sealed envelope. My name was written on the front in my grandmother's handwriting. I opened it carefully. Dear Nova, mi estrella, if you're reading this, then I'm gone, and your father is doing exactly what I knew he would do. I'm so sorry, my love. I'm sorry I couldn't stop this while I was alive. I tried talking to Gerald. I tried reasoning with him. But he doesn't hear words. He only hears documents. Do you remember that Sunday in my garden when you promised me you'd become a nurse? I made you promise because I could see the future. I could see Gerald trying to steal your dreams the same way he tried to control your mother. Your mama was going to be a nurse too, before she met him. Did you know that? He convinced her to drop out of school, to stay home, to make him her whole world. By the time she realized what she'd lost, it was too late. I wouldn't let him do that to you. The original deed, the account statements, and the evidence files are all with Robert Lancaster. His office is at 847 West Market Street, 4th floor. The copies I've left you are certified and legal. You can use them. Inside this envelope, you'll also find the original deed to 847 Oakmont Drive, legally transferring ownership to you upon my death. Bank statements showing the $127,430 I saved for your education. A sworn affidavit from me detailing Gerald's controlling behavior. Recorded conversations, transcribed, where he admits he will never let you go to college. Letters from 3 family members who witnessed his verbal abuse. Property tax records proving he never paid for the house. Medical records from your mother showing the depression she suffered during her marriage. Don't show these to anyone except Robert. Not your father, not Sharon, not even Emma, unless you trust her completely. Wait for the right moment. Robert will know what to do. You are not selfish, Nova. You are not ungrateful. You are not a bad daughter. You are a young woman who deserves to chase her dreams. Your mother would be so proud of you. I am so proud of you. The house is yours. The money is yours. Your future is yours. Don't let anyone take it from you. All my love, always and forever, tu abuela, Elizabeth. Your little star's biggest protector. I read it 3 times. Tears were streaming down my face by the second reading. By the third, I was holding the letter against my chest like it could bring her back. She planned everything, I whispered. She did, Robert agreed. Elizabeth Martinez was one of the most thorough clients I've ever had. She anticipated every possible move your father might make. What do I do now? That's entirely up to you. You could evict your father immediately. You could file charges for the illegal rent collection. You could sue for emotional damages. Or, he leaned back in his chair, you could simply take control of your own life and let him figure out the rest on his own. I thought about Penn State, about the deadline in 12 hours. Can I access the education fund today? I can have the bank transfer it to your personal account within the hour. What do you need it for? I have a scholarship deadline at 5 p.m. I need to accept my spot in the nursing program. Robert smiled. Then let's make that happen. By 4:47 p.m., I had officially accepted my place at Penn State. The scholarship covered tuition. My grandmother's money would cover everything else. Room, board, books, expenses. I had enough to live on for all 4 years without working a single shift. But I still had unfinished business. Emma drove me back to Oakmont Drive at 6:30 p.m. Gerald's truck was in the driveway. Lights were on in the kitchen. I could see him and Sharon through the window, eating dinner like nothing had happened. I walked in without knocking. It was my house after all. Gerald looked up from his plate. Where the hell have you been? You missed work. The hospital called here looking for you. I quit. You what? I quit my job. I'm going to college, Penn State, full scholarship plus living expenses. I start in August. Sharon's fork clattered against her plate. Gerald's face went purple. We already discussed this. No, you discussed it. I listened, but I'm done listening. I pulled out the deed and set it on the table between us. This is the deed to this house. As you can see, it's in my name. Has been since Grandma died in 2017. You don't own this property, Dad. I do. The room went so quiet I could hear the refrigerator humming. Gerald picked up the deed with shaking hands, read it once, twice. His mouth opened but no sound came out. That's impossible, Sharon finally said. We've been living here for 20 years. We've been paying. You haven't paid anything. Grandma's trust paid the property taxes. She let you live here for free because she thought you'd take care of me. You didn't. I pulled out the bank statements next. This is the education fund she set up for me. $127,430. I now have full access to it. Gerald found his voice. You can't prove any of this. These could be forgeries. They're certified copies. The originals are with Robert Lancaster, the attorney whose letters you've been intercepting for months. Want me to call him right now? He's very interested in discussing your illegal rent collection scheme. That wasn't illegal. You lived here. I owed nothing. You can't collect rent on a property you don't own. That's called fraud, Dad. I could press charges if I wanted to. Sharon stood up abruptly. Gerald, did you know about the deed? Of course I didn't know. He knew, I said quietly. Grandma told him, multiple times. She showed him the documents. He chose to ignore them because he thought I'd never find out. That's a lie. Is it? I pulled out my phone and played an audio file. My grandmother's voice filled the kitchen, tinny but clear. Gerald, I'm telling you for the third time. This house is Nova's inheritance. You cannot keep living here for free and preventing her from going to college. It's not right. My father's voice answered, What you think is right doesn't matter anymore, Elizabeth. You're dying. You won't be around to interfere much longer, and when you're gone, Nova will do what I tell her because she'll have no other choice. You would really steal your own daughter's future? I'm not stealing anything. I'm protecting her from making stupid mistakes. She doesn't need college. She needs family. She needs to understand her place. I stopped the recording. The silence that followed felt like the air before a lightning strike. Where did you get that? Gerald's voice was barely a whisper. Grandma recorded it. November 2016, in her living room. She recorded a lot of things, actually. Hours of conversations where you admitted you'd never let me go to college. Where you talked about controlling my mail, my money, my entire life. It's all documented. Sharon was backing toward the doorway like I was a bomb about to explode. I didn't know. Gerald, you told me Elizabeth was senile. You said, Shut up, Sharon. Don't tell her to shut up, I said. Actually, Sharon, you should probably start packing. You both should. Gerald slammed his fist on the table. You can't kick us out. We have tenant rights, squatters' rights. We've been here for 20 years. You've been here for free for 20 years. No lease, no rent, no rights. I talked to my lawyer. You have 30 days to vacate. 30 days? Where are we supposed to go? I don't know, Dad. Figure it out. You're resourceful. You managed to intercept my mail for 8 months. You managed to forge job applications in my name. Oh, did I mention I know about that too? The manager at Carson's department store called me last week wondering why I never showed up for the interview I supposedly scheduled. I never applied to Carson's. You did, using my information. That's identity fraud, by the way. His face had gone from purple to gray. I was trying to help you, get you a stable job close to home. You were trying to trap me, and it almost worked. I picked up the documents and put them back in my bag. I'm leaving now. I'm staying with Emma until I move to campus. Don't call me. Don't text me. Don't show up at her place. If you do, I'll file for a restraining order. And if you try to contest the deed or the inheritance, I'll release every recording Grandma made to the entire family. Aunt Lisa, Uncle Tom, Cousin Michael, everyone. They'll all hear exactly what kind of person you are. Nova, please. It was the first time I'd heard him beg. We can work this out. We're family. Family doesn't steal. Family doesn't lie. Family doesn't rip up acceptance letters because they're too selfish to let go. I looked at Sharon. You knew what he was doing. You helped him. Every time you told me I was being ungrateful, every time you cried to manipulate me into apologizing, you were helping him build this cage. I thought we were doing what was best. No. You thought you were securing your own future. Free housing, free caretaker. You didn't care what it cost me. I walked to the door, then turned back one last time. I'm going to be a nurse, Dad. Just like Mom wanted, just like Grandma wanted, just like I always wanted, and there's nothing you can do to stop me. Your mother would be ashamed of you, he said quietly. No, she'd be proud. Finally. I left. Didn't slam the door, didn't look back. Just walked to Emma's car and got in. How do you feel? Emma asked as we pulled away. Free. 3 weeks later, Gerald and Sharon moved out. They didn't say goodbye. They left the house a mess, holes in the walls, stains on the carpet, broken cabinet doors. It cost me $3,200 to repair everything. I didn't care. It was worth it. I rented the house to a young family with twins. The husband was a teacher. The wife was a pediatric nurse. They reminded me of what my parents could have been if my father hadn't been so obsessed with control. I charged them below market rate and put the rent money into a savings account for their kids' college funds. I moved to Penn State in August. My dorm room was small with cinder block walls and a window that looked out onto the quad. I'd never been so happy in my entire life. My roommate was a biology major named Keisha, who kept her side of the room organized with military precision and made the best late-night ramen I'd ever tasted. The nursing program was brutal. 16-hour clinical rotations, endless studying, practical exams where one mistake could mean failure. I loved every second of it. For the first time in my life, I was exactly where I was supposed to be, doing exactly what I was meant to do. Gerald called twice during my first semester. I didn't answer. He left voicemails saying we should talk like adults and put this misunderstanding behind us. I deleted them without listening to the whole messages. Sharon sent a Facebook message saying she forgave me for overreacting and would I please reconsider letting them stay in the house. I blocked her. Aunt Lisa called me at Christmas. Your father says you stole his house. I didn't steal anything. Grandma left it to me legally. He's living in a studio apartment with Sharon. He says you ruined his life. No, Aunt Lisa. He tried to ruin mine. I just stopped letting him. She was quiet for a long moment. Your grandmother told me this would happen, years ago. She said Gerald would try to keep you from college and you'd have to fight for your freedom. I didn't believe her. Do you believe it now? I heard the recordings, Nova. Your Uncle Tom sent them to me. I'm so sorry we didn't help you sooner. You're helping now. That's what matters. By my second year, I'd made the dean's list. By my third year, I was working as a peer tutor and volunteering at the campus health center. By my fourth year, I had job offers from 3 different hospitals, including Riverside General, the hospital where I'd worked as a CNA. My old manager, Mrs. Chen, called personally. We'd love to have you back, Nova, as an RN this time. Full benefits, tuition reimbursement for graduate school, the whole package. Thank you, Mrs. Chen. But I think I need a fresh start. Somewhere with no history. I understand. For what it's worth, you were always one of the best CNAs we had. You're going to be an incredible nurse. I took a job at Philadelphia General Hospital, pediatric intensive care unit, night shift. It was hard, heartbreaking work. Kids with cancer, car accident victims, newborns with defects that should never happen. But it was also the most meaningful work I'd ever done. 6 months into the job, I was assigned to a 7-year-old girl named Mia who'd been in a car accident. She had a fractured skull, broken ribs, and a punctured lung. Her grandmother was her legal guardian. The parents had died in the crash. The grandmother sat by Mia's bed every single night, holding her hand, talking to her even though Mia was unconscious. I'm here, mi amor. I'll always be here. It reminded me so much of my own grandmother that I had to step out of the room for a minute. When Mia finally woke up 2 weeks later, the grandmother cried so hard she couldn't breathe. I brought her water, tissues, helped her calm down. Thank you, she said, gripping my hand. Thank you for taking such good care of her. It's my job. No. She looked at me with wise, dark eyes. It's your calling. I can tell. You're meant to do this. I thought about my mother, who never got to be a nurse. About my grandmother, who made sure I could be. About Gerald, who tried to stop me. About all the choices and chances that led me to this exact moment, in this exact hospital room, caring for this exact child. Yes, I said. I think I am. I visited my grandmother's grave every year on the anniversary of her death, brought jasmine flowers because they were her favorite, told her about my life, my job, my patience, thanked her for the gift she gave me, not the money or the house, the belief, the proof that I was worth fighting for. If you're watching this, and someone in your life is trying to control your future, trying to convince you that your dreams are selfish, or impossible, or stupid, I need you to hear this. They're wrong. You are not ungrateful for wanting your own life. You are not selfish for having boundaries. You are not a bad person for walking away from people who love their control more than they love your freedom. My grandmother used to say, "Hard things are worth doing." She was right. Standing up to my father was the hardest thing I've ever done, but it was worth it. Building my own life on my own terms was worth it. Becoming the nurse I always wanted to be was worth it. You don't need permission to be yourself, you just need courage to stop asking for it. If you've ever had to choose between your dreams and someone else's control, type "I chose my dreams" in the comments. Or if you're still trying to find the courage to choose, type "I'm still fighting." Both are valid. Both take strength. If this story meant something to you, check the description for more stories just like this one. Thank you for being here. And whatever fight you're facing, I hope you win.